What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Las Vegas Marijuana Experience. Today, we're here to talk about some vape cartridges put out by OMG THC, which I am excited to talk about because if you've watched this channel at all, you know I've been on a bit of a mission. A mission to not only find vape cartridges that I like, and by like I mean they're strong and they hit smooth and they're not too expensive, being the kind of the last component, because the pricing out here is they're just going to be expensive, period. And then B, I also wanted to vape on something that I feel safe vaping. I've mentioned in other channels or in other videos here before that I'm a little concerned about some of these flavorings that are going in. I mean, it seems to be all the rage, not just in cannabis, but it looks that way in vaping nicotine as well, to just pump flavorings into stuff. And these industries aren't regulated by the FDA. At least in cannabis, they don't even have to put ingredients on that stuff. So we don't really know what we're vaping. And I just have a little bit of concern about that as a consumer, as an end user. So I've been on a mission. And I was lucky enough here to try out a few different kinds of OMG THC. You see the packaging right there. I'll put a couple big pictures up on the screen too. OMG THC Full Spectrum THC Oil. Excuse me, Full Spectrum Cannabis Oil. And this is not a distillate. I've talked a lot on here about distillates. A full spectrum oil, let's talk about what that is first. A real simple explanation means that A, it has no additives. They're not pumping anything else into it. So there's no flavorings. It's not going to have some fruity candy ass flavor. It's going to be as close to smoking cannabis as possible, not only in its flavor profile, but in its molecular profile. So they want to have basically the same ratio of compounds, meaning THC, or not THC, but meaning the terpenes to as you would find in the flower. So it's not going to have jacked up ratios. So if it's got 8% myrcene in the flower, you want to have 8% or 8 milligrams myrcene in the vape pen as well. Now, cannabis has over 500 different therapeutic compounds. And so if you're doing a lot of different extraction methods where you're not getting a full spectrum oil, you're just boiling it down basically to the THC or a handful of other terpenes, you're losing a lot of those other, not just cannabinoids, but other therapeutic compounds as well. So when you're doing a full spectrum oil, they strive to keep as many of those in there as possible. So believe it or not, you can tell a difference, at least I can, 100%. When you're puffing on one of these, a full spectrum oil versus like a THC distillate, which if you watch the channel here at all, you know I smoke on those a lot as well. It's a different kind of high because all these different terpenes, the cannabis terpenes, and the different what's the word? I'm high as fuck. The different therapeutic compounds that are in there, the different cannabinoids like CBD, they have a synergistic effect, right? And they all interact with each other. I mean, hell, a lot of people don't even realize that you need a little bit of THC to even activate CBD. Like CBD is all the rage, right? But if you don't have that little bit of THC in there, it's not even going to activate. And it's that way with a lot of cannabis compounds. So you get a different kind of high when you smoke one of these full spectrum oils. And I as what I consider a cannabis connoisseur, I've been smoking 20 something fucking years now. And I really enjoy it. I like it a lot better. The problem is I haven't been able to find any true full spectrum oils out here that I liked. So I was able to smoke on these or vape these two different kinds of full spectrum oils from OMG THC over the past about 10 days or so. Man, they're really good. I tried a Burkle and a Giesel, and I'll get to what those strains are here in just a second. But these extracts, I was able to go out on a full tour of the lab at OMG, talk to their head guy, Grant, out there. He gave me the full deal on how they make it. I went back, saw all their machinery, their production facility. It was amazing. And I really got to spend a lot of time talking with him and seeing what he's striving to do as a cannabis oil manufacturer, what he wants to provide people with. And one thing that was really important to him that really struck a chord with me is he too has concerns about a lot of these additives that are getting put into cannabis products. And he makes certain that they don't add any shit to theirs. They do have some products that they add terpenes to. However, they are all natural terpenes put out by a company called True Terpenes. You can research them yourself. But we're not going to talk about that right now because they don't add anything. We're here to talk about these full spectrum vape cartridges, and there's none of that added in there. Okay, so these are also CO2 extracted. So there's basically two schools of thought. There's people, or two ways to do it. There's butane and propane to be used as an extracting method, or there's CO2. And people like myself, I'm much more comfortable using a product that has CO2 extraction because there's likely to be trace elements left behind on some level, and I don't really want to be vaping any trace elements of fucking butane or propane. CO2 is all natural. It's in the air all around us. I think it's like 62% of the air, something like that. Don't quote my high ass on that one. So, excuse me, I got to get a drink. I'm out here in Vegas. It's dry as hell out here. Oh my goodness. And I'm really, really stoned. I've been smoking on this. It's just so good, man. So where was I? Yeah, butane, propane. This is CO2 extracted, so you don't have to worry about any trace solvents, chemical-wise, being left behind in OMG THC products. And I'll give you a brief overview of what like a CO2 extraction is and the way it works. So I saw the whole process getting done, and I'll do my best to describe it. So in a real layman's terms here, in a real simplified form, they take the CO2 as a gas, and by freezing it down, you can turn it into a liquid. Okay, and the cannabis flower goes into a container, into a machine, where the liquid CO2 is then flushed over it, and that causes the trichomes to break down and be flushed out with the CO2. Okay, which then it goes into another chamber, and then another one after that, with the end result being that the CO2 is turned back into a gas, and the cannabis oils extract is what's left over. In a lot of cases, the CO2 is also recycled, which is then called a closed loop extraction because they can keep using the same stuff over and over. CO2 extraction is getting more and more popular, not only because many people feel it's safer because it's not using the butane or the propane, but because you can modify the pressure and the temperature of the CO2. It allows you to do a few interesting things. The number one being you can create oil, wax, crumble, shatter, sap, distillate, a full range of products. And you can also, it allows for what's called the fractioning of the compounds, meaning you can specifically take out the CBD, for example, out of the plant. You can specifically take out terpenes out of the oil that's left over. Like once it gets down to that oil, you can refine it further and remove exactly specific items, which allows you to do a lot of different experimentations. You can pull out, the CBD, the various terps, like I mentioned, or you can take it all the way down to the THC into its distillate form. So that's pretty cool. I'm excited by things that you can do with that, and it allows them to make a lot of different products, like I mentioned. Today I'm only talking about these cartridges, but I've also tried some of their shatter as well, which I highly recommend that as well. I've got a dabbing video for beginners coming out soon that we're going to be using their shatter in. It was hella good. So this type of extraction, this CO2 extraction, it's called supercritical fluid extraction is the technical term, and it's not anything new. Like it hasn't been invented for cannabis or anything like that. It's actually been around a long time, and to my understanding, that's how, for instance, you get like decaffeinated coffee and decaffeinated teas, is they use that exact same process to remove the caffeine. So that's a little rundown on how it's made and why a full spectrum oil is different. So it gives you a different experience when you're vaping. Like I said, I might have mentioned earlier, you don't get those candy flavors. So when you buy one of these, a full spectrum oil, and I seriously, I'm not going to come on this channel and bullshit you. If I didn't like this stuff, I wouldn't make the video. When you buy this type of vape oil, don't expect some candy flavor. It's going to be more like smoking herb. You're going to get an herbish type flavor. Okay, like the Giesel and the Berkel here, both, I could pull out notes of the terpenes, but it was just very minor. It's a lot more like smoking weed, but not exactly. It's kind of hard to describe if you haven't had it before, but the main thing is don't expect some fruity ass flavor, or you're going to hit it and you might think it's like gross. I'm going to hit this real quick here. All right, so now that we talked a little bit about the company and how it was made. I'll go into these two strains I got right here. Now, Burkle, which I'm smoking on right now, is an indica hybrid. It is it's a cross of pre-98 Bubba Kush, and that is pre-1998. There's a few different kinds of Bubba Kush, and Granddaddy Purple. Some people think, well, there's a little bit of discrepancy about if it was Granddaddy Purple or Purple Urkel due to the name Burkle, but most people agree it's Granddaddy Purple and the pre-98 Bubba Kush. So this one here is a little bit more indica leaning, and it tastes really good. It hits really, really smooth. There's no throat burning here. Like if you've watched this channel, or if you go and you watch a couple of my other videos, like I've hit vape cartridges on air before that I can't stop coughing because it feels like my fucking throat is on fire. And this isn't like that at all. And I think that's, I mean, I don't know for certain, but I think that those ones that burn like that are because they're adding in all these terpenes. Like, and in this particular brand, in this particular one, they're not adding anything. And I think that makes a huge difference. Because it's an oil, speaking of the difference between oil and distillate, you do have to vape it at a lower temperature. So this particular battery that I'm using is fully adjustable from 1 watt up to 40 watts. So I don't vape this at the same temperature I was vaping like the distillate at. You want to keep this down around 3 watts, 3 volts, 6 watts at the high end. And if you spend your money and invest on something like this, you can play with it up and down from there. And you'll also get an ohm reading on this particular model as well, eLeaf iStick 40 watt, that if you go online, you can look up on an ohm chart and see how high that this particular cartridge would be rated for, so you don't burn it out getting foolish or anything. Another thing I like about these OMG THC cartridges is, even though this is the plastic top right here, this is a C-cell cartridge. It's a coil. It's one of the, really in my opinion, I'm no expert, but in my opinion and my usage, it's the best cartridges that you can use are the C-cell. They're really nice. This Giesel that I was smoking on, which I recommend both of these. These are the only two I tried, but man, they were killer. Like I really, really enjoyed these. This one is 85% THC. This Burkle is also 85% THC, so that's pretty high. They got great terpene profiles, as you would expect from a cannabis oil. And I'll post those on screen right now so you can see them as well. The Giesel is a little bit more sativa leaning, although some people say indica. It's a little bit harder to get information on that strain, but it seems to be Chemdog D crossed with Massachusetts Super Skunk or Mass Super Skunk. It's another great strain. Like I was excited to see these because at least out here in Vegas, Giesel and Burkle are a couple strains I haven't come across too often, either as flower or certainly in vape form. So that was pretty cool. I like that they're doing that. You can find these. It's a fairly new company, so you can only find these at the moment of this recording, which is the end of November here in 2018. They're at Shango Dispensary, Thrive Downtown, and the Nevada Wellness Center. And their current pricing is running about $60 a gram. All right, or so, I'm sorry, $60 a half a gram, which is expensive, but it's also what the market is out here right now. Like that's not unusually expensive for this market. That's about what you can expect for some higher end cartridges, or even some lower end cartridges for that matter. I've paid more than that for cartridges that were shit. So these, I'm real comfortable telling you as a viewer of this channel that if you're looking for a more true cannabis experience in your vaping, this is definitely it. And if you're like me, a little bit more concerned about the ingredients that you're vaping, I recommend a full spectrum oil here, and I recommend OMG THC ones because I've seen it with my own eyes, so I know they're not bullshitting when it comes to how they're extracting it, when it comes to, like, I talked with Grant there at their company here for quite a while. Like he's a passionate guy, and he's not bullshitting. Like he really is. They could be cutting corners and doing stuff a little bit different, and instead they're not. They're going for a quality product that's as safe as you can make something that you're smoking. So I was really impressed with that. I'm really impressed with the cannabis oil as a whole, man. It's really stony too. The cartridges lasted a long time. They're super smooth. They had really great flavorings. Again, not expecting to taste some candiness, but expecting to taste something more similar to an herb. The flavor profile was killer. They were really good. So, listen, if you got any questions about OMG THC, about these particular cartridges, hit me up in the comments. I'll answer them as best as I can. And I can also ask Grant over there if there's something that I can't answer. That's it. I'm hoping to review some more of their products. I think as a company, they're doing some good shit. I smoked some of their shatter as well, which I'll have a brief discussion about that. I have some dabbing videos coming out here in the next week or so as well. So their shatter is really good. I got a tangerine shatter. It's also, of course, it's extracted with grain alcohol. Again, no butane, no propane. The tangerine one was killer. It was like 77% THC and just an absolutely great aftertaste. Really enjoy that. Hoping to try some more here in the future. So again, if you're not a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button. What are you doing? Hit the little bell so you're notified when I have new videos come out. And give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Hit me up in the comments. I have some information coming out soon on private weed tours that the Las Vegas Marijuana Experience is going to be putting on. If you want some more information about those, head over to the LVME.com. It's in the middle of an update right now, so it's going to be the old site, but by the end mid-December here, it should be full and going. So depending on when you're watching that video, you might see a different website. So thanks again, everybody. I'm going to get back to puffing on this. I'll see you next time. Peace.